Welcome. We are Free Spirit Fabrics here today to talk about the year of the designer. We are going to be discussing the collections and the inspiration for the collections that are shipping in May of 2026. And we are talking about 5 returning artists today. I am Sharon Thornton, and I will be talking about the inspiration. I'm here with Debbie Stark, and she will be talking about these beautiful collections. So, here we
We'll jump
go.
right in.
Here we go.
Thank you, Sharon. So the first collection we're going to talk about today is called Chainmail by Club Hauer. Chainmail brings the spooky charm of handwritten letters to life, one stitch at a time. Inspired by the art of chainmail, those interconnected, mysterious letters that find their way into your mailbox or inbox, this collection is filled with creepy, cool designs that you'll have your sewing machine working overtime. Whatever you're crafting, these fabrics will add a little fright and delight to your creations. Piece together your own spooky tale, one project at a time. And I know we all love the work of Club Hauer, and it was really fun because in the spring, they introduced a collection called Love Letters. So this is the follow-up to Love Letters called Chain Mail for Halloween. So it's a little dark, it's a little ghoulish, it's a little scary, but it's also very fun. And you'll love the fine line detail in the collection. So as we all know, Club Howard is a tattoo artist by trade. So the line work and the attention to detail is absolutely magnificent. Chainmail consists of 12 SKUs, and we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner today and talk about the first SKU, which is called Memento. And it's that great skull head, either holding a fountain pen in its mouth or a beautiful flower in its mouth. You know, it's a little quirky, it's a little fun, and yet it's a little serious all at the same time. And I love it on that beautiful purple ground. Below that is called World Wide Web. Get it? Ha ha ha. And it's obviously a spider web with those really poisonous, nasty little orange spiders creeping about. To the right of that, we've got the crows. And again, to me, that's such a great texture. It's all that delicate line work. Really kind of creepy. It reminds me of the movie The Birds back in the day, right? And below that, we've got On the Wing, which is those incredible ravens with the moon and the stars in the background. Moving across to the next column, we've got skeleton bones, and this is actually a 1-yard panel. And it consists of 3 coffins, and each coffin is filled with either a skeleton or skeleton heads and a crow. And it's really cool because you could actually cut each one of those coffins apart, or you could just take this and make yourself a great Halloween wall hanging. It certainly would delight any kid's party. And then you could also just use running yardage to cover long tables and have great parties, whether it's crafting parties or candy parties or whatever the case might be. In the next column, we've got chainmail. So obviously the theme of the collection. And you've got these great skeleton hands holding letters and chains wrapped around. Below that is ink, which is a really great texture on a really saturated orange ground. To the right of that, we've got stamps, which you can't mail a letter without a stamp. So we've got really cute little, very whimsical, almost nostalgic like stamps with the old-fashioned cat and the word boo and the skeleton and little eyeballs. And below that, we've got scrolls, which are just the ledger paper that runs continuously with just this beautiful handwritten note on it with a fountain pen. And in the last column, we've got postage stamp, which is the great little stamp pattern. Again, kind of a cheater quilt, if you ask me. All these great little 1-inch squares, and it could just be used as running yardage to decorate for Halloween or just autumn. It's a great color palette with that beautiful rich teal in the center. Below that, we've got postcards, which are iconic nostalgic postcards featuring the hearse and the spooky, creepy house and a funny little cat, all kinds of little postcards. And then last but not least, to the right of that is overnight delivery. So you've got the crows or the ravens delivering the chain mail in the evening in the dark of night. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sharon to talk about the incredible inspiration for this collection, chainmail.
Okay, so this first quilt is a West Salem quilt, and this is designed by Lisa Alley of Bear Hug Quilt Works. And so one of the things that we really enjoyed about this quilt is The squares in this quilt are showing the collection quite nice. And I also like the use of postage stamp, the orange and teal background in this. And like Debbie said, it'd be a nice cheater fabric, to use in any way that you like, but really like how it's creating a design within the design of this square and, cheating a little bit. You don't have to do all those little tiny 1 inch blocks to create this. So thought that this was fun, a nice way to use that fabric, and collectively the collection works really nicely together. Love the spider out on that
Mhm.
outside border, and this piece just really showed the collection quite nicely. So then the next piece of inspiration is called Seasons Shrieking. It's a wall hanging. So this is that 1 yard panel piece that Debbie had mentioned. And I mean, I love the whole message in this collection, but also like, that this panel actually has a stamp, like the white
Right.
outside is,
The
some
little edge of that
right
stamp,
of the
yes.
stamp, and I think that that's really nice in this. So like Debbie said, I mean, you can create this quilt right here. Stacy Day designed this for us. We're showing it as, one cut in this wall hanging that you can create. All of the additional pieces of all the additional SKUs or designs in the collection work very nicely for these outer borders. A little bit of work in there, but it shows, how to, with the half square triangles, and, it shows how everything works so well together. And again, you could cut up those coffins if you wanted to. There's just so much you could do overall with this collection. We're only showing 2 pieces of inspiration, but we do have many more pieces of inspiration for this if you look at the Free Spirit website.
And the next collection we're going to talk about today is called Hue by Giucy Giuce. It is a total of 16 SKUs in the collection. And for as long as Giuseppe can remember, the thing that has inspired him most is color. Having always been drawn to different artists' renditions of the color wheel, he has long collected reference books and posters on color theory. With Hue, he gives you his Giucy Giuce take on the color wheel. When choosing colors for a collection, there's always a push and pull between bright and gem tones. When Hue, he wanted to go bright and bold with colors that feel very primary. This collection is truly an ode to color and one Giuseppe wanted to create for quite some time. So I think he said it well. It's all about the color wheel, and it's all about the saturation of color, and the primary vibrant colors that we're seeing in Hue is really spectacular. And it's all shown off with the use of some black and white designs as well. So as we start on the left-hand side of the page in the first column, we've got the color wheel. And this entire collection, 16 SKUs, is digitally printed because we could never on the panels recreate his art with the number of screen restrictions we have. So this is a 1 yard panel, so to speak, and it has the color wheel. And what I find really magnificent is how the color wheel sort of bleeds into the background. It's got a lot of great movement. It's got a lot of great tones within it. And then he's done his fine line work on top of it all, which makes it really super interesting, a little geometric, a little architectural almost. I just really love it. So in the next column, that beautiful red SKU we've got is called Geo. And to the right of that is Rorschach, which is playing up the orange and the beautiful warm colors in there. Below that is Brushstrokes on a really soft gray ground. Below that is Drops on that beautiful teal. And to the right of that, we've got Brushstrokes. And in the next column, we've got Drops on the beautiful, crisp, bright yellow. It's like the perfect yellow. To the left of that, we've got Geo in the ground. And again, it's that same line work design as we saw on the red design, but it's on this really incredible limey green. Below that is Splotches, which covers the gamut on color on a beautiful white ground, just a natural fabric ground. Below that is Geo on the purple. And then to the right of that is Rorschach on that really beautiful sort of magenta-y purple ground. In the next column, we've got all of our quote unquote black and whites. We've got Drops on Stone. We've got Drops in Whisper. Below that, we've got Streaks, which just plays beautifully. I love the irregularity of the stripe and how the shading works from top to bottom and left to right. And then below that, we've got Rorschach. And last but not least, on the far right, we've got Hues, which is another 1-yard panel. And it shows the color wheel along with almost like little paint swatches or little I don't want to say tie-dye because it's not tie-dye. It's just really how it ranges and how the colors shift from one color to the next to the next. But in the top, you can almost see that almost painter's palette. And I guess that's what I was looking for.
Right.
That painter's palette. I think of an old-time
I
watercolor
do too.
tin, and just taking my brush, but you've noticed those colors are all still really clean.
Yeah.
Mine would have gotten dirty. I would have put the yellow and the
Mine
orange and
too.
the orange and the blue. Yeah, we would have gotten green.
Then I would have
Anyway.
upset that I did it.
Just a really great collection. And then that coordinates with that is called Gemini. And Gemini is an incredible collection of 12 SKUs. It's the same design, but it plays with color again, giving you those more saturated jewel tone colors. So Giuseppe says, born in June, there have always been two sides to him. More, if he's really honest. But as a Gemini, is inspired not just by his astrological sign, but by the back and forth Giuseppe faces daily as a designer. With this collection, he gives you a 2-in-1 blender. Why choose one background when you can have two? The edge of the center stripe in Gemini can be used to split a block or even an entire quilt. Then the light and dark parts of the print become your background fabrics. The two backgrounds can be used to create multifaceted quilts with very complementary and contemporary feel. Giuseppe has been experimenting with split backgrounds in much of his recent work, and we are all so excited to have this new blender to show you all the ideas Giuseppe has for experimenting with this new technique. So we have 12 SKUs. This particular collection is actually traditionally printed, and it's really interesting how we've been able to capture the gradation of color and the movement from light and dark and the consistency from one color to the next. So we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner, and the first one is called Diamond. That is our most neutral of the palette, right? You can see there's a very soft line or delineation between the light and the dark. But what's beautiful is we look at this, it goes from salvage to salvage, left to right. So it goes light, moving into dark, and then the dark moves back into the light. So it's just really awesome. And that's true for every color in this particular collection. Below that is Smoky Quartz, which is a more mid-tone gray. And below that is Obsidian, which is almost like that charcoal black, really rich, beautiful. I love anything black. So really rich, beautiful color. The next column is Tourmaline, going from the really soft, pinky, purpley color into the more rich, saturated color and going back to the light. We've got Garnet below that, which is a really rich red. It's certainly not fire engine red. It's not cherry red. It's not barn red. It's just this really beautiful garnet-like color. Below that is Carnelian, which is what we would call sort of a orangey russet color. In the next column, we've got Citrine. I think he took it all off of beautiful gemstones. Are you seeing the pattern here? Below that is Nephrite, which is that really limey green. And below that is Amazonite, which is that beautiful, rich, tealy, turquoisey color. And in the last column, we got Kyanite. I hope I said that right. Kyanite.
Right.
Below that is Tanzanite, which is a beautiful purpley casted blue. And last but not least, we have Amethyst, my personal birthstone.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's really beautiful. It's 12 SKUs. Like I said, it's traditionally printed. It works absolutely beautifully with hue. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Sharon to show us a little bit of the inspiration behind the collection.
Right. So I just want to see this one for a second. All right. So this first quilt, all right, we're going to be showing you a total of 4 quilts here with this, and we do have more inspiration on the Free Spirit website. This first quilt is designed by Giucy Giuce. It's called Prismatica quilt, and what we loved about this quilt is the use of that very large color wheel in the center of this. And he also used the hue, wait a minute, this is hue, the other one's Gemini.
Yes.
He also used Gemini in the background on this. So you can see where All right, so he has the patchwork around this centerpiece, and then you can see that lighter gray with the, what do I call this? Like the
Almost a raw edge
right,
or a ripped torn paper.
right. It's the rough, you know,
It's yeah, it's the line in the
right.
actual fabric.
Of Gemini.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So he's used hue and he's used Gemini together in this quilt, but you can see again the usage in the center of that main, focal print. And then all the blocks that are out in the border, you can see, how he's worked in that skew that's called hues that Debbie was talking about that had, if it was like your a painter's palette at one point, it's all cut up. So you can see how it would be used if you were just going to cut that fabric up. And it works quite effectively. And then he used that beautiful stripe for the binding on this one. I love that stripe. I saw this fabric. We have it, some sample yardage here, and it's really quite beautiful once you see it in person. I mean, it's beautiful here, but more beautiful when you're touching it. So the next piece of inspiration, this one was designed by Eye Candy Quilts, and it's called Thunder Boomers. And again, this is just showing like all of those solids from Hue cut up, while you were talking about all of those gemstone fabrics, they're all cut up in like the half square triangles, and then the big squares in between there, he's used that skew called Hues. Again, it's the palette one. It's not the big focal one, it's the smaller one, but you can see its use again in this quilt. So, you saw it in the first one and then you see it in this one, and it can be quite effective depending on how you're going to create with it. Okay, the next quilt is called Color Twist. So this one's fun as well. So we're just using all of the gemstone colorations from Hue in the center of all of those, those
Color
color
wheels.
twists.
Really?
Those,
Yep.
you're right, the color wheels or those twists. And then Linda and Carl Sullivan designed this, and then they also use the splotches in this, and then they use the drops in stone in the background, and they too use the stripe on the binding. So if you weren't going to use those other SKUs, this is going to show you how well these other colors work so nicely with one another in the collection. And then the last piece of inspiration that we're showing today, this one is designed by Giucy Giuce as well, and he is using just the Gemini SKUs in this particular quilt. And you can really see the use of those SKUs down the center. So if you look at the center of this quilt and you can see, you see part of the green, the darker green and the lighter green, part of the darker yellow, the lighter yellow, the orange, the reds, the purples, the blues, the teals, etc. As you go down the center of that quilt, that's where you can see them most effectively in use. And then also in the background, he's using the background skew. I forgot what it's called. Which one is it?
This one here?
Yeah, it's
That's
gonna be this
Gemini.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
In
going to
smoky
be
quartz.
smoky quartz down the background. And in this one, again, he used the stripe. So the squat for the binding, and that stripe is quite effective. It just gives it a little dazzle out there on the binding. So many more quilts we've designed for this collection. Giuseppe's done a beautiful job showing how these fabrics work so well together. And we also had some other collaborators showing very effective ways in which to use the fabric. And we challenge you to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say that, at Free Spirit, we're very, very traditional in how we execute design. So normally we traditionally print or screen print everything, and we had really long conversations with Giuseppe about Hue just because of his two large panels. There was no way in Hue to print those traditionally. We never could have gotten the tonality and all the shades of color in both. The only way to do that is with digital printing. And we have found that every day digital printing gets better and better. Like, I think there's less identification between a traditional print and a digital print as we move forward. Like, we digitally printed this in Korea. It is absolutely outstanding. The color is clean and crisp. It's super saturated. It's just really beautiful. So, we don't always do digital printing, but when a design warrants it, and if it is in the best interest of articulating and replicating the art, that's when we choose to digitally print. we felt confident in Gemini that we were able to go ahead and cut screens to get that variation because we were really only playing with a handful of color within the same design. So you could get the shade variations within tourmaline or amethyst or whatever.
Mhm.
But when you look at the color wheel from Hue or you look at Hues, both 1 yard panels, we never could have articulated that.
Right.
So just kind of wanted to add
Yeah,
that there.
no, I think it's great that you explained it.
Okay, so moving on, we have got Moonlit Mischief by Mary Engelbreit. Who doesn't love Mary Engelbreit? As the moon rises and the autumn air fills the night, ghosts, witches, goblins, and ghouls take to the streets, their mischievous laughter echoing through the neighborhood. Down winding streets lined with flickering jack-o'-lanterns, tiny footsteps hurry past, and candy-filled bags grow heavier with every house. The shadows hold a secret, every doorstep brings a new surprise, and the night stars sparkle with a hint of spooky delight. As the last pieces of candy are gathered and the moon begins to set, the echoes of laughter linger in the cool night air, reminding us of all the adventure, magic, and lasting memories made under the October night sky. We hope this collection invites you to bring the spirit of Halloween to life and engage in a little moonlit mischief. And I have to say, doesn't it? We just celebrated Halloween and we're talking about next Halloween, but
Hmm.
oh my gosh, this collection is so adorable. It's 12 SKUs, it's super tight, it's an easy purchase. And I'm going to start talking with the SKU in the upper left-hand corner like I usually do. And surprise, the name of the SKU is called Boo. And I just love that you've got that witch who's the witch that always flies in front of the moon on her broomstick, flying right across that O in the middle of Boo. Absolutely adorable with some of the moons and the little stars in the background. And you can almost see because of the textured background, it's almost like clouds just sort of wafting back and forth across the
Mhm.
design. Below that, we've got Haunted Halloween on a really rich, beautiful orange ground. You've got the swaying tree and a few ghosts flying in front of the moonlight. Below that, we've got Eerie Night Forest, where you're kind of in the forest and it's pitch black and there's not a star in the sky, but you see all these little creepy owl eyes
Mhm.
or some kind of creepy
I
eyes.
know.
In the next column, we've got Halloween sweets. So you've got your candy apples and you've got your little sweeties and you've got your lollipops. It's really adorable. To the right of that, we've got October sky on the beautiful black ground with the orange moons, and you've got shooting stars. It's just very whimsical and adorable. And below that, we've got Witch's Nightly Walk. And now, isn't this just an iconic Mary Engelbreit witch?
Mhm.
I mean, she is just fantastic. Again, on the purple ground, you've got the lightning bolts, you've got her with her staff, and on the top of her staff is her little owl. I mean, just precious. To the right of that at the top, we've got Trick or Treat. So we've got our ghost with our little black cat carrying his little trick or treat bag with his candy. Below that is Pumpkin Glow, just really a fun, iconic design. What's Halloween without some lit pumpkins?
Mhm.
And below that, we've got the Spooky Street, which I love. It's a vertical stripe that's going to be a great border piece, but it's a little scenery. It's just adorable. And that great black um, street with the black houses on the purple ground, really fun. To the right of that, we've got Halloween Trickster. So we've got our little demon all dressed up with his little pumpkin trick or treat bag and all that little adorable candy corn framing each one of the blocks. Below that, we've got jack-o'-lanterns, so you're seeing the orange pumpkins. And last but not least, to the right of that, we've got candy corn ghosts. Absolutely whimsical, adorable,
Mhm.
and very, very merry.
Yeah, it's a fun collection.
So, Sharon, I leave this to you.
Yes, so we're going to show two pieces of inspiration. We have more, but we're only showing two here. So this is Hester's hat. This is designed by Everyday Stitches, and what better time than to make witches hats for your wall hanging on your wall for Halloween. So this shows the blacks from the collection and the hats, and you can see the different backgrounds are used on each row of these hats, and then we have a different skew is used for the sashing and the border on this. So you can see that, this collection is very cohesive. All of these pieces are working very nicely together, and you can create this quilt very Well, kind of easily. It's applique. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to hand applique, machine applique, or raw edge applique those hats on. I would probably do raw edge to make it
Hmm.
look a little witchy and
Yeah, for sure. Wash it a couple times.
right, and rough it up,
Yep.
make those hats look very interesting. Okay, then the next piece is called Moonlight Mischief. I'm sorry, that's the name of the collection. It's called Pumpkin Patches. And this is a Cluck Cluck Sew pattern. And we just wanted to show the theme of the holiday being the pumpkins. And these pumpkins are showing, the fabrics used differently. You don't usually get purple pumpkins, but we're showing that we have a peach fabric in the background, and that offsets all of the usage of and the all the tiny squares in there, setting off all those pumpkins, the use of the collection in there. So again, just showing the use of the collection, how well it plays together and in theme, so to speak, with this particular quilt.
And you know what? It'd be really great to do three-dimensional hodgepodge or
Oh, pumpkins?
pumpkins with the
That's
fabric.
right. That would be fun.
Because we had somebody in the office do that and it was adorable.
Oh, that's right. We did.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
very cute. So it could coordinate with your quilt on the wall.
That's right.
Very
There's
cute.
so many ideas. So you can look for more inspiration on the Free Spirit website. And we know that you all have your favorite Halloween patterns that you'd love to create with. And this is a great collection to do that.
It sure is. In stores in May.
May 2026.
Next, we're going to talk about Punct by Ebond. And oh gosh, do I love her work. And it's called Welcome to Punct, the fresh and sublimely disorderly companion to its predecessor, Counter. Majoring the same letterpress residency as the previous collection, Punct is E's invigorating exploration into the marks that move language, punctuation, quotation marks, question marks, exclamation marks, E-printed marks of all kinds made from wood to express so much of how we communicate on the page. These marks have the powers to change everything around them. These are the symbols that bring the goods, drama, expression, emotion, and most of all, intention. Upon completion of this collection, E looked back at the patterns and noticed that they were also bringing up a lot of rhythm and sound in a very visual way. Somehow the feeling of music had also crept in the back door while making these pieces. In hindsight, of course, this makes sense as this is another way language is felt, not so much on the page, but in the air. For E, the patterns of Punct were transforming before her eyes into notes, sounds, and harmonies, into jazz, folk, and punk. It's inspiring to imagine all of the thoughts and ideas just a few marks on a page can hold at once. E can't wait to see what Punct and Counter can inspire together. So a great, super saturated color story here. It's 16 SKUs. We're going to start in the upper left-hand corner, and that particular design is called Interlude. And to me, that does look like music notes on a page.
It does.
Almost like, oh, I can't even think of the word, but there's something very computerized about it, digitized. It's almost like digitized music. That's what I'm trying to get at. Below that is exclaimed. So we've got a lot of different punctuation marks in different directions. I love the layers of color in that particular design. And below that, we've got conference, which is a bunch of quotation marks creating secondary design elements within the master design. To the right of that, we have another pattern, and I can't see the name of it. Oh my gosh.
I can't either.
That one I can't even see.
Call a something.
Well, my bad. I can't see it, but it is spectacular. Again, it's playing up the quotation marks, the exclamation points, the period. It is just fantastic. And then you've got some, it's called call and response. Thank you, Brandon. You can see there's even some typed verbiage on this particular design. Below that, we've got discourse. And what I love about discourse is it's a really strong graphic black and white design. And there's language or there's handwriting within each one of the quote unquote marks. So it's super interesting. To the right of that, we've got wonder, which is really just a bunch of question marks.
Mhm.
I wonder. Makes you really think. In the next column, we've got whisper in those beautiful teals and blues and greens all layered on top of each other. To the right of that, we've got etc., which is just a great bunch of, I call them bubbles. They're really textural. There's a lot of interest going on within each one of the circles. And below that, we've got eavesdrop. And what I think what's really interesting here is how you almost have this transparent white where you can see all the layers behind it.
Mhm.
To the right of that, we've got harmonize. Again, to me, that's almost a piece of the first design we talked about, interlude, where it feels like digitized music or some kind of a digitized paper. Below that is question. To the right of that is murmur. So it's just this great, I think they're all formulas, almost looks like it's written on a chalkboard. And below that we have enumerate. And last but not least, in the last column, we have improvise. That's a really good word and a great fabric to represent that.
Mhm.
Below that, we've got serenade in that beautiful rich red with those hints of green. And while I normally think red and green feel like Christmas, there's nothing Christmas about
Yeah,
this at
no,
all.
no.
And then to the right of that, last but not least, is reference. Again, really interesting marks using punctuation. And it's actually the word of the punctuation mark and then the icon of the punctuation. And it creates this really great vertical stripe. It's super cool. It's a great collection. And I think she has articulated her inspiration so well in this. And I'm going to turn it over to Sharon because she's got some great quilts to show too.
Yes, well, this is a fun collection. So this first one that we have here is called Jewel Quilt, and this is designed by Gudrun Erla from GE Quilt Designs. And so you can see how fun and playful all of these fabrics are and how great they all work together. So love this quilt. We know that this is a quick, um, wait a minute. Well, anyways, I don't think this is designed by Gudrun. I think there's a mistake here and I just don't know what it is. I think that this is actually, I'm not even going to say because I don't even really remember now. Anyway, great quilt. It's called the Jewel Quilt, and this is showing a great way to display all of these fabrics. And then the next one, this is called Soundtrack. And this is designed by Latifa Safir of Latifa Safir Studios um, and Caroline Hadley. So, this was very interesting to use with this collection because, like Debbie said, there's a lot of maybe music in the background or musical influence. So, just this quilt being called Soundtrack and the way that the fabric is used, it feels very modern. It's really not a very traditional quilt, but a very effective way to use all of the fabrics in the collection.
It almost feels like sound waves
Yeah.
diagonal across the
Yeah.
quilt. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then the last one is called Lilo Quilt. This is designed by Gudrun as well. This has a little bit more of a traditional feel in a quilt, but it feels so modern, meaning, that they're just squares. They're all, framed up. And then you also have, in the corner of each one of those squares, a little bit more work that you could be doing in this quilt. So I don't mean like traditional as a traditional quilt, but this has a modern feel to a more traditional quilt. And again, you can see from all three of these quilts that we just showed you how cohesive this collection is, how great the colorations are, and how nice that they all work and play together.
And I guess on this quilt, I love how the colors intersect, like one pulls into the next. I think it's really very modern, very crisp.
Yeah, it's crisp and it's fun.
Yep.
Blacks and the grays and all the colors play so well together.
Yeah, I love E's work. I think it's just so modern, but it really brings the traditional quilt to a more modern or contemporary lifestyle. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Okay, so the last collection I think we're going to talk about today is More Than Bones by Cori Dantini. And we love Cori for Halloween and Christmas. Her collections are so adorable, very whimsical, and very novelty. And on More Than Bones, it's a celebration of our shared humanity and the wildly creative spirits that come to life during Halloween. As the veil between worlds grows thin, we're reminded that beneath every mask, costume, and painted face We are all built from the same framework, bones. But what we layer on top are identities, traditions, and imaginations. This is what makes us come alive. Halloween is a season of transformation where shadows dance, stories awaken, and we honor both the living and the dead. In the flicker of a candlelight and the rustle of the autumn leaves, there's a deep connection to ancestry, mystery, and celebration. This collection reflects that magical duality, the universal and the unique, the skeletal and the soulful. Hugs and kisses, Cori. This collection is so fun, and I think the color palette lends itself more to an autumnal collection than a truly Halloween collection. She was really inspired by a recent trip to Mexico and these beautiful, deep, rich, earthy tones, which really had a lot of influence on the collection. In the upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner where I always start, the design is called Fright. And to me, while this is a skeleton head, it feels more like a sugar skull. It feels more Mexican inspired. I love the florals. I love the moth that's intertwined. And if you look really closely, much to my chagrin, she's included even a snake, which just looks more like a ribbon in the motif. It really is very successful. If I'd seen it, it may have had to get scrapped. I'm deathly afraid. Okay, below that, we've got Skelly, which again is the skeleton on this great textured background. To the right of that, we've got Mothra, which are moths on almost like little teeny tiny corn kernels. Like if you think about harvest and you think about those corn on the cob, so to speak, and all those little kernels that are all multicolored, but this is all in oranges and greens. It's really fantastic. And below that, we've got Floral. Oh, I can never say this name right. Cacophony? Cacophony?
Oh,
Cacophony. And it's really a tone on tone, just a great floral, very subtle, very soft. It makes a great background design. In the next column, we've got More Than Bones. It is running yardage, but can be used as a panel, or you can cut apart these wonderful diamonds and create your own motifs. And I know that Sharon will share with us some great inspiration behind the collection. But again, this is one of those pieces that I think would be great on a big table as a tablecloth, the basis of your table setting. Really beautiful. Below that, we've got Flowery Bones, which are all the motifs that you'd find throughout the holiday, the Halloween holiday, on this really beautiful green ground. And then to the right of that, we've got Allspice, which almost feels like beans and multicolors. It's really cool. And in the last column, I just find Sunset Grid to be the epitome of autumn. Like there's something about this that just, it radiates and it vibrates across the fabric. It's really beautiful, those rich saturated autumnal colors. Below that, we've got Marigold Field, which is just really very lush marigolds and beautiful florals. And last but not least, below that, we've got Rattled to the Bone. So you've got the skeleton head, you've got the rib cage, you've got a hand poking through these great, I'm going to call them stars for lack of description, but it just really is a really fun, interesting print. Very graphic, very bold. We love the collection, and it's called More Than Bones, and it will ship in May.
Right. So Brandon, oh, can you pop back? Sorry, I just want to say something before to the collection. Perfect. Thank you. We're going to show you just two pieces of inspiration. We have other inspiration for this, but before we move on, I just want to say that the one in the middle at the top that Debbie was talking about that's called More Than Bones, right there. I mean, this would be a great fabric. We didn't do it in the inspiration, but you could come in and you could cut out all of these little squares and put them already in the center. You could set them on point in the center of like a bigger block. So there's many things you could create pillows that way. You could do, mats for Halloween, doing a log cabin and using those in the center of your blocks. And then I also would like to remind you that the fabric on the far right that's called Sunset Grid that Debbie talked about being very autumnal. That would be a great, blazer for the fall. You could make a pretty dress out of that. So look at these fabrics, not just in your quilts, but anything, wall hanging, placemats, like Debbie mentioned, tablecloths, napkins, etc. There's so much that you could do with this beyond the inspiration that we're about to show you. So the next slide is our skeleton it's a skeleton wall hanging. It's 34 by 42. We usually bring this quilt out once a year for our Halloween collections, and this is perfectly in line with this collection being the sugar skull, kind of in theme with this particular collection. And you can see that we used Cori's the black from the collection in the background, and then all of those additional SKUs are used, in the skull portion of this. And then right down like by the mouth, you can see where that one I was just talking about before we switched slides, he's got like the little moth in there. So right in the, that block set on point right down there in the mouth of the skull. So we tried to incorporate all of the SKUs from the collection into this. And, the message is here of how to use it, but again, that it's a very cohesive collection. It works very nicely with one another. And then the next slide. This again, more in theme with the collection. It's called the Haunted Cabin. This is designed by Art East Quilting, and just having the ghosts, part of this, more Mexican themed or inspired collection. And all of the fabrics, from the collection are used more in the background on this because you really see the ghosts coming forward. And we do have other inspiration for this collection as well, but you'd have to find it on the Free Spirit website. So I think that is it for us today.
Yes.
We just showed 5 designers.
We did.
All of these collections are shipping in May of 2026. As a retailer, if you haven't ordered anything yet, please reach out to your rep or come to the Free Spirit Fabrics website, freespiritfabrics.com, and place your order. And if you are a maker and you are watching this, make sure you reach out to your local quilt shop and let them know that you are very interested in every one of these collections.
That's right.
So we've done, we have wonderful artwork here at Free Spirit Fabrics, great collections, and we hope that we inspire you every time we show you things.
That's right.
So we thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Sharon. I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday. And we are right upon Thanksgiving, and soon enough it'll be Christmas and Hanukkah and everything else in between. So I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. Find inspiration in everything you do.
That's right.
And hopefully you're busy quilting gifts for all of your family and friends.
Right. I'm going to do a crash.
That's right.
So thank you for joining us.
Take care.